Welcome to the Finding Your Purpose podcast. My name is Monica Hohe. I'm a psychotherapist, conscious coach, and someone passionate about helping people take steps towards living with clarity and purpose. In this 6-part series, I'll be speaking with individuals who are aligning with their purpose and are an inspiration to others to find theirs. I hope the conversations in this podcast encourage you to find yours. So in this episode, I'm delighted to introduce Magan. Mia is an experienced and widely renowned yoga and meditation teacher based in Tipperary. She works with people who are experiencing difficulty in coping with overpowering emotions, especially anxiety and trauma-based patterns. She uses therapy such as the havening technique, hypnotherapy, and yoga kriyas alongside her coaching, all with the intention of empowering others to not only be comfortable in their own skin, but to experience a greater state of ease and awareness and more freedom in their lives. She teaches a daily course in miracles online and runs women's circles and retreats throughout the year, which I understand book up pretty quickly. I was drawn to invite Mia as she struck me as someone who has chosen a very purposeful and clearly spiritual path. So welcome, Mia.
Thanks so much, Monica.
So Mia, great to have you. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your own story and why you do what you do.
Okay, thank you so much for having me here. I guess I didn't know my purpose for a long time. I kind of muddled my way, I would say, through my early 20s and even into mid-30s. But there was always a sort of a spirituality in the background. And as a child, I had a fascination with the church. I used to go hang out down the church and wait for Mary to appear to me and things like that.
Wow.
She didn't. And the idea was that I would end up in a movie, you know, like the one with St. Bernadette, etc., etc.
Great.
But there was this kind of a love, I guess, for spirituality in the backdrop. But during my 20s and 30s, it kind of faded and I didn't tap into it as much. And in my mid-30s, a marriage ended. I found myself on a seeking path, so to speak, and it made my way, you know, back into education and did, you know, addiction studies and drug and alcohol studies. And I started facilitating groups and realized that I liked teaching and that there was something happening for me in connecting with people in that space of moving maybe from pain to joy or more ease to begin with, maybe not necessarily joy. I went on to...
And what were you teaching then, Mia?
At that time, I was running women's groups I ran a respite house for the Drugs Task Force where families affected by addiction would come to stay to get a break from the using members of their family.
Fantastic.
And yeah, so we would have groups. A lot happened over cups of tea, sitting at the table. I started doing little meditations and mindfulness pieces with them. They would have Reiki sessions while they were there.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And it was wonderful work. During that time, I suppose, there was a yearning for something more. I went and did a yoga teacher training and my spirituality took a complete turn through, I suppose, Hindu mysticism and Buddhist teachings. I started to really align at that time, I think, with my purpose. There was something that lit me up every time I taught a yoga class. And I saw the response of the people and I would notice changes in people as they came back week after week. And I began to get excited about what was possible. And when I speak about yoga, a big part of my path would be Bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion and spirituality. So really tuning into that became very important. And so when people came to my yoga classes as well, if they ran in Lycra, started jumping around, I knew they were in the wrong place because I was going to be doing something quite different.
Wow. And what were you doing then, Mia?
I guess there was a lot of tuning in. There's a lot of acknowledging the divine within ourselves, that divine spark that's in us all. And I begin all my classes with that acknowledgement. My sun salutations are really that saluting the light.
Yes.
You know, waking up to the light and saluting the light and allowing that light in, but also recognizing that there's a light in there in us to meet that light that comes in. So it's never about exercise. You know, it's about realizing that there is this place and space within us that we can tune into that is very often a lot more peaceful than what we experience in the world.
Fantastic. So it's quite, yoga is spiritual anyway, but you clearly bring a strong emphasis to that in your work and your practice, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And now then, what are you up to these days then, Mia? You still teach yoga?
I still teach yoga. I teach yoga 3 mornings a week online. It informs so much of my other work as well. So I see clients on a one-to-one basis, using havening techniques and hypnotherapy, and probably no more than yourself, Monica. As we train over the years, we become this eclectic mix of all these amazing tools that we pick up. But my sessions mostly tend to be helping people to make peace with their past so that they can have joy in the present and, kind of thread that into their future. And then I run retreats and wellness days and, that sort of thing.
Fantastic.
Teach A Course in Miracles daily as well.
Yeah. And have you found your purpose? I think you're implying that you have.
Most definitely.
And what would you say your purpose is, if you don't mind me asking?
Put very simply, to spread love.
Wonderful, yeah.
I really see myself as, a servant of the universe, of God, divine, whatever word fits for you. But I feel, we're told in A Course in Miracles, we're here to be truly helpful. And that is my intention when I get up every morning, is to be truly helpful through the methods that I have honed. And, when you start to see results from things, I suppose there's an impetus to continue and to grow in your field. Through my work, you get positive feedback, you see changes in people, that they've moved from that place of worry and stress, or maybe less worry and stress, to more peace in their hearts. Yeah, and that's what I feel like I'm here to do.
And can you make a living with this? Can we run a business like this?
We can run a business like this. It has its ups and downs like any other business. And this, I guess there are times where it feels very fruitful and there's times where it feels less fruitful. But that's usually when I'm gone into this place of worry as well. So I would believe that, the form in our lives, or what happens in our lives, follows our consciousness. And if my consciousness has moved into fear as opposed to love, then it'll often be reflected on the outside.
Absolutely. I do agree with you that I think if we can live from the inside out and come from that place that feels aligned inside ourselves, then things do fall into place and things do happen and we attract what's right for us at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you know you found your purpose then? Just feel good when you wake up in the morning then?
Absolutely. It's that feeling of joy. It's the looking forward to doing what you do. And, don't get me wrong, I don't jump out of the bed every morning, but I do have this sense of doing the right thing, I guess, when I wake up in the mornings. And I begin my day with A Course in Miracles, teaching a group of people, or leading it really. I don't feel I am the teacher, we're all the teachers. But on occasion, I get somebody to step in and I always miss it when I do. I always wish I was on that call, because I know by the time I get off that call, I'm filled with joy.
Yes.
I have, my spirit feels alive and I feel like I'm doing things in the right order, if that makes sense.
And for those listeners who haven't come across A Course in Miracles, Mia, what would you say in a nutshell? What is it about? It's a spiritual teaching, really, and training.
Yeah, and it's an undoing, really, I suppose, of the patterns and the programs that we have picked up through life, and it's a return to love. Marianne Williamson wrote a beautiful book called A Return to Love. It's one path to peace. It's not the only path, but it certainly is a path to peace. It's written in the Christian vernacular, but you don't have to be Christian. Yeah. That's certainly my knowing of it. And it kind of peels back the layers, that have built up over the years that bring us to usually this place of dissatisfaction, and feeling off track. And I think it brings us sort of back on track and aligned with our innocence or our goodness.
Fantastic. And is this weatherproof, Mia? As we know, the world's in a terrible place and wars and, people have a lot of concerns about what's happening, between climate change and all the chaos, I think, that maybe is going on. Is this helpful to be, what you're doing? Is this, has a place in all of this?
Truly, I believe it does. Yeah. We know the work of Emotivo, where, he worked with water, and if you pray over water, the molecules in the water change, etc. So where I would see, what I do with the prayer, meditation, yoga, that coming home to, the love or your innocence or your goodness. When we land in that place, we can ask questions there because we're tapping into our inner wisdom, to the divine within. And in that place, I would always ask, what's mine to do? So if there is a situation that troubles you or bothers you, it's literally asking the divine, that is within yourself. It's not outside yourself. What is mine to do here? So you could call it your gut instinct, your intuition. What can I do to be truly helpful in this situation? And, as far as I'm concerned, if you can cultivate peace, then there's more peace in the world.
No, I do agree with you totally. And I think that for the skeptics who are listening, what is this if you don't believe in the divine? What is there another word for that to find in the divine within if you're not?
Yeah, I think for me, you could say gut instincts. The other thing I think is often finding something that feels bigger than yourself.
Yes.
So we talk about higher power.
Yes,
so you could talk about nature, for example.
Yes.
And I think we get out of that small-mindedness or that small self, what's in the way of us knowing.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, I think in Ireland we had a lot of Catholicism and we're all probably, a lot of us in recovery. But I do believe and see that we've done with materialism, and now there's increasing awareness of nature and spiritual practices, whether it's mindfulness, yoga. It's really, there is a revival of all of that. And it's very refreshing to hear you having the courage to actually talk about love and the divine and all of those things, and I think that is coming, that more and more of us will be looking for that. And I do, this thing about bringing more love back into the world can't be a bad thing for sure.
Yeah.
So just this question about any thoughts on the value of following and finding our purpose. You're saying, well, really, it's a happier place to be. It's a more satisfying place to be. Do things work out from this place?
Yeah, truly, I believe. Before we came on, Monica, I was mentioning Arthur Brooks, who's a professor of happiness in Harvard. And he talks about 4 pillars. And one is faith, which, we've kind of just spoken about in a way. The other is family and friends. So we all know the value of connection. And the fourth one is finding your purpose, like doing something that means something to you and that you feel you're adding value to the world. And if somebody has, studied at a Harvard level and is able to profess that this is a pillar of happiness, then isn't it worth our while finding our purpose?
Fantastic.
And living in our purpose.
Thank you for doing that research. So in terms of listeners, any tips then about how they're going to find their purpose? You've already talked about listening in. How might we do that then?
Yeah, so if you're not a practitioner of meditation, because some people have this idea that you have to be, up in the Himalayas, sitting in lotus position in order to meditate. But really, meditation is about like doing an activity that you like and being very mindful and present as you do it. And if you learn to get into that listening mode, that stillness, and I'm talking about a stillness within, so it could be walking in nature, but still finding that stillness. And in those still places, like asking the questions, you can literally ask, show me my life purpose, show me my direction, but also becoming very observant in your life and noticing what lights you up, what sparks joy.
And so you don't have to be sitting cross-legged.
Not at all. I don't think so. I think if you just, become a more mindful, present person, you're going to notice things more.
Yeah.
I was involved in a clothes sale recently for Rohama. Oh my gosh, I had so much fun that I began to think, is there another purpose there? Should I be opening a boutique? Because I had so much fun, with the clothes and everything. But actually I realized that it was the connectivity. It was the connection with other women. And it was still back to the purpose that I currently have, which is, to bring love, to bring joy, to bring peace.
Yeah. And that was a charity that you were working
That was
for?
a charity. It was just a one-day event that I was involved in.
And you were
briefly.
noticing how much pleasure you got from it. And
so much fun and joy. And it is that. It's like taking time to take stock and notice.
Yes.
So if you do something and it really lights you up, it's like, well, how can I do more of this?
Fantastic, yeah. But in terms of that mindfulness comment that you made about it could just be walking, I remember doing a course and they're saying, notice even how you're holding the pen. or notice how you're sitting and bring that awareness to your body. And are you holding tension anywhere in your body? Make sure you do that awareness in your yoga teaching as well.
Yeah, all the time.
But it's just that increasing our awareness and practicing the awareness.
Yeah.
And anything else? Do you journal, or what else would you say? Dream, or how else are we going to listen in and find our purpose?
Yeah, I do a little bit of journaling, but I can't necessarily talk too much about it because it's very sporadic for me. One of the things I do is gratitude. So I'm involved with, I kind of set up a gratitude group, and we have gratitude partners. Every 21 days we change partners. And when you start to notice the things you're really grateful for as well, that could be a key to your purpose. I'm really, really grateful that I was, baking today, for example. Yes. I really enjoyed it. Maybe there's something there for you, Maybe not. But I'm just saying these are the things that tend to bring us home to our heart. And I think our heart, can tell us so much about what it is we should be doing.
Now, there's a lovely expression. Coming home to our heart.
Yeah, that's the name of my next retreat, Home to the Heart.
Wonderful. And tell me, what was this exchange you were doing around the gratitude? That sounds interesting.
So it's a group. It's just a WhatsApp group. I think there's about 35 people in it at the moment. And every 21 days you get a new partner, and you leave a voice note of 3 things you're grateful for that day with your partner. And then after 21 days you swap partners.
And do they get back with their 3 things or not?
They leave their 3 things as well. It's a little exchange, and you just listen in. So you have the joy of listening to someone else's gratitude and then sharing your gratitude.
And that's all really about keeping your energy high, isn't it?
It's absolutely. It is. Yeah.
So I introduced you as a yoga teacher and mindfulness teacher and meditation teacher, but actually you're a spiritual coach, really. Is that what you're moving towards? Would that be fair?
Yeah, it's a title that I sort of reluctantly took on recently. I went on a coaching platform and I was saying, gosh, am I going to say I'm a life coach? And I kept hearing, you're a spiritual coach, because really when I do my work, I can't but bring that into it, because there's a voice within me pushing me to speak about love, not affiliated with any religion or any particular spiritual path. But there is a voice within me that wants me to speak about love. And I feel like that is the voice, for God, for the universe, for the divine within me. And I can't but express that now. So, and I attract people that are quite content with that language. They're quite content. They're looking to maybe return to a faith or return to that place of innocence that we mentioned earlier. And it is a very childlike place. It's a very curious place, which again ties in with finding your purpose as well. We need that curiosity and that sense of wonderment, particularly if we find ourselves blocked on our path. If we get to a place where we're dissatisfied and we're unhappy.
Yeah, but if we're a senior, accountant in a big firm, are you suggesting we should be more childlike and return to that inner essence of love? Is that?
Absolutely.
Really?
It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, you can still hold there. And I suppose a lot of the work I would do is remembering where people were blocked when they were younger. Maybe they were shamed at school or walking across to the teacher, giving their homework, the teacher shaming them. It can apply then to the office and the open plan office and walking across the open plan office. But you're saying that it's really important to remember actually how full of ourselves we were back then, and often uninhibited and
absolutely
full of potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if that's the place if we can go to that place first thing in the morning, like literally, if we can tap into that place
of wholeness, I imagine.
Of wholeness, of innocence, of, things being uncomplicated. If we can land into that place, which I believe is in each and every one of us, behind all those stories and all the experiences of life. If we can tap in there, learn to tap in there, and you do learn to tap in there in the mornings then everything else falls into place. And it doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the biggest firm in the world.
But wait a minute, then we walk out the door and then we get our phones robbed. I mean, we're going to have to put up some kind of protection then when we go out into the world.
I know you trust. So you learn to trust. You're not stupid. I mean, none of us are stupid. We're not invited to be, because I do believe there's this divine intelligence.
Yes.
But we do trust. We move through life with more trust, and we learn to expect good things. Kids expect good things,
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great what you're saying. And I think we will be noticing more of that as we we are looking for things that are positive that we can hold on to. And I saw a woman doing a course for the Women in Business Network, running your business with faith, not fear. Yeah. And I thought that there's interesting. We have to trust, once we're on the right path, that it will follow. Obviously do the work, take action, but also to trust.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of thinking, I think we're kind of doing the full 360, and we know that the antidote, to fear and war is love. Like, the answer has to be love. And, and we are seeing a rise, I believe, and a response.
Maybe we'll call you a love ambassador. So finally, Mia, how can people find you? You said that your retreats are busy, but how could they work with you? Are you on your website, on LinkedIn, or how could people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. I'm Mia Sarah Retreats and Wellness.
Mia Sarah Retreats and Wellness.
And my website is miasarah.ie. And I couldn't tell you what I'm called on Facebook, but I am there.
Yes. And you run retreats?
Yeah, so I run retreats a few times a year. The next one is in Kylemore Abbey, which is an interesting space actually for me to go into. But I'm delighted to be running a retreat there. That retreat is full. And the next one that I can, that I know I'll be doing is running a retreat in France. I don't have dates, but that'll be next May. And I do yoga every morning online. So there's always space in that, because it's online. And A Course in Miracles daily as well.
Lovely, Mia. It was a pleasure. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything we've missed?
No, I'm just delighted to be here. And I suppose to encourage people to be playful and childlike and curious and see where it leads you.
Great. Thanks very much, Mia.
Thank you.